Yikes. I know we did this last week. Sorry I missed it. I banged up my knee. But me, Jeff, and Wendy will get through this here. Everybody has the forms. Does anyone not know why we're here? Somebody. It's not a meeting. The goal is to go over each form. Probably the B.B.R.A. is the one you're going to have the most questions about. And needless to say, we're not going to have all the answers.
What?
It's unbelievable, right?
What? Oh, wait.
I was a little late because this morning LVR had an emergency broker Zoom call from 9:30 to 10:30. And it was the same stuff that we already know. But, and some of the forms are going to change again. And there's going to be some change order forms coming. So don't get too pissy if we don't have all the answers today, okay? Because it is a moving target to say the least.
And if you do want to get pissy, we'll give you Mark's number at the end.
That's it, yeah. 1-800 call Mark. Call Otero, whatever it might be.
Yes, yes.
So I guess we'll jump into this crazy document, right? Or anything you want to start with in particular?
No, it was just good. The form that a lot of you guys have is the ones that I've highlighted. I think the BB I highlighted myself. Just some stuff I thought was important. Because the thing that I noticed more about this is holding the agents to a higher standard. And if you're going to represent a buyer and want to get paid, it's telling you right here you need to have a higher standard. And so that's the thing that I highlighted. You'll see, if you guys got the one that I know you do, the one that I highlighted, I think that it's important to make sure we understand, really, we better start giving them better service in what we're doing. And so that's some of the things that I noticed when I was going through it.
Did you at the last class read through the whole thing like we did?
I read the whole thing. Yeah, I couldn't talk for a week afterwards, but I read the whole thing.
Okay. Has anyone not read this? It's okay if you haven't. Okay, you need to read it like 10 times, okay, after today, okay?
10 times?
And at least 10.
At least 10.
And we're gonna go around the room, and we're gonna pick on somebody, and some of you I don't know your names, but I know Brad, Cindy, I know Becky, so you guys might be the ones reading some of this stuff, okay? Because I think we read it out loud, and then when you get home and play around with it, statistically it might stay in your mind a little bit longer, okay? But this is the new B.B.R.A. It's not a B.B.A. anymore. They threw the R in there, okay? And I think it's going to be on MLS tonight or tomorrow morning from the calls I just got off of, okay? They may leave the old one on there for a little bit, okay? But I think the old one's going to go away because it's not in compliance.
Really soon as possible, I can understand.
Yeah, it might stay on there until the 17th, which is the date, but it's not in compliance. So that's why, but whenever LVR changes forms, they sometimes put the new ones on for like a 2-week window and leave the old ones on also, so you can kind of see the difference. You know, print out the old one, print out the new one, and then you can see what the differences are. But,
Question. So what if we have the old one in place with value?
okay, how about we hold off for the questions for a little bit, okay? As we go through this, okay? Because a lot of you are going to have the same questions, I would think, okay? But 8/17, this is the only one that you're going to be able to use, okay?
Starting August 17th.
August 17th, that's the date, okay? As well as the listing agreement and the RPA, okay? Everything kicks in on that date, okay? So maybe what we'll do is, I think we can run through reading this pretty quick, because hopefully, honestly, those of you who didn't read it, this is just Tim, so get pissed at me. I'm really upset that you didn't read it.
Well, Tim,
It's been around for 3 months. It's been around for a while, guys. This is your business. You should have read this. At least once or twice.
yeah, Trevor has changed on us about 15. So let me start it off, you guys. So the very first line, this agreement is designed to allow a buyer to engage a qualified, and if you guys have mine, you know I highlighted that. We better start stepping it up. A qualified, licensed professional. And I highlighted professional. You guys, like you said, the thing that I want you to really truly understand about these new forms, guys, it's taking you from here to here. And we better start. If we got a buyer and we want them to pay us 12 grand, we better be qualified and professional. So that's the thing that I really want to make sure. And you see I highlighted some other areas in here as well. For the purpose of viewing properties, comma, and receiving contract negotiations, advocacy services, throughout the entire, I should have highlighted the entire, real estate offer and purchase process for the types of property described below. So you guys are really, again, you guys, and you're gonna hear me say this several times, you never, at my age, I talk about this all the time. Qualified professional negotiation advocacy services for the entire transaction. I see that a lot, they don't engage the whole thing, so it's gonna change. Number one, Tim.
Hey, yes, number one, Jeff, okay. One thing about that, those 3 lines, going back to Jeff's professionalism and all that stuff, how many of you consider yourself a listing agent? Would you rather be a listing agent or a buyer's agent? Listing, no offense to the buyer's agent, but given the choice, you'd probably rather have a listing agent. And I remember, like it was yesterday, if I had a listing appointment, I'd probably put in 3, 4, 5, 10 hours of prep before I knocked on that door. I mean, I role played in the mirror, I drove the neighborhood, I knew my comps, I knew all my stuff, so to me, that $500,000 appointment was a $30,000 meeting. I'm hoping to get 6 bananas from the seller, times 500 grand, that's 30, he's gonna give me 30 bucks, and I gotta prove that in 60 minutes. You gotta do now the same thing as a buyer. So it's a total mind shift, guys, that you, what you did for, as a listing agent, you gotta do now the same thing for the buyers, and we're not used to doing that. I'll meet you at the property, and put in the key, write up the offer. It ain't gonna work that way anymore, okay? So keep that in mind. So number one, properties. The undersigned buyer engages the undersigned broker. Now again, the buyer would be the client's name. The brokerage firm would be Realty One, where it has broker in parentheses, to represent buyers concerning buyer's purchase of the below selected real property types situated in the following locations. You put Las Vegas, greater Las Vegas area, for the most part, I think. Any real property introduced to the buyer by broker in the B.B.R.A area shall be referred to as the property. And I think everything below number one is pretty self-explanatory, okay? You check off residential, I would check off investment, I would check off commercial, I would check off everything. That's me. Why not? What do you got to lose? You know, he might change his mind midway and want to buy a vacant land, okay? So you good with that?
Yeah.
Check off everything,
Yeah.
right? Check off everything, okay?
Now, the one thing I will say, you guys, where it says other description, we talked about this in the class we did last week, is, this is our thought, and you do whatever you want. Because initially, my thought was, well, if I'm showing them houses in 89129, then I'm gonna put 89129. Well, where do they buy a house in 89149? Well, I don't have it on here, so now is this good?
No.
Right? So that's why we said maybe Clark County. Or we joked, draw a map of Nevada and then put a star, you know, do all of Nevada. So, cause I thought it was actually pretty cool at the beginning, then I'm thinking, wait a minute, we better think about what we're gonna put. It's just a zip code, or, I know we don't do, 702 area, or not zip, areas anymore, but I would probably put, Clark County. Because pretty much Clark County would encompass everything. So I would put that as opposed to just a specific zip code or area, or something like that, okay? Yeah, right here, yeah, I know, yeah. That's what I would do. City, like Tim said, you could do, all of Las Vegas, or whatever we call it, Las Vegas County,
I
whatever.
mean, where it says applicable cities, I would put Clark County, greater Las Vegas area.
You can also leave it
That
blank,
might-
you can put in A.
Yeah, but
as well.
that would cover everything.
Yeah, you don't have to
For the
put there,
most
you don't have to put something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, where it says or, check if agreement relates only to a specific property or properties. Those properties are, and there's 2 addresses below. When would that kick into play, or would it ever kick into play?
Open house?
Absolutely not. No.
No?
Yeah. When would that kick in?
They're coming in to see my listing and they don't have a date.
There you go. Maybe you're on the phone with them, and they're giving you some pushback. You tell them about this agreement, it's all this money, and they might not want to sign it. They haven't even seen you yet. You don't know if you like them. So you know what we could do, Russ? Assuming I went through this whole thing with Russ on the phone, he wanted to see my property on Zillow. I'll meet you at the property, Russ, if you can't make it to my office, and then I would make this specific for that property. It may be specific for 1 day, 2 days, if you want to. So this is really a flexible thing on how you want to work it, okay? Because some buyers might not want to. You might want to put on here number 2, length of agreement, 5 years, or 9 months. They might not want to hook up with you for 9 months, or 9 days.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa, yeah, okay? And we'll get into the cancellation part in a minute. You're not gonna like the cancellation part of this, just when we get to that part, okay? So that's what that's for. Will that be used a lot? I don't know, probably not. Unless they're really on the phone, you're not working well with them and you wanna at least show them this one house, you could put that specific house there. That make sense? For the most part?
What if they already have a buyer brokerage agreement with another agent, but then they call you as the listing agent and say, I want to
What would you tell them on the phone? Hmm?
Are you willing to pay 2 commissions, Mr. Buyer?
Now,
Right, he's signing with so-and-so, he wants to sign with you.
think of it
Are
as,
you willing to pay 2 commissions?
hopefully we're all saying that now, right? When you meet you, have you signed anything with another broker? And you say, yeah, I did.
Or they forget.
Right, okay.
Have the foreman say, did you sign one of them?
But to Patrick's point, there is a loophole maybe, and we don't know. Thank God we have 18 more days or 19 more days. Suppose your loophole, a lot of loopholes in this friggin' thing. That I'm the buyer, I call up Jeff, the listing agent, and there might be a case where he doesn't have to do a BBRA with me, because he's representing the seller. So he can show me the house without a BBRA. Jeff, this is beautiful, I wanna make an offer, then the BBRA kicks in. Make sense at all?
Yeah, it does.
No.
Yeah.
So that's the listing agent loophole that they're trying to not make a loophole between now and August 17th, where the listing agent could show that one property without a BBRA, because you're going there in the capacity of representing the seller, not in the capacity of representing the buyer. Crystal clear, isn't it? No.
So if that person comes in, is not represented by anybody, and
What do you mean they come in?
comes into an open house.
Right,
And says, I wanna make an offer
without the BBRA.
without the people.
You have to sign it right there, if they wanna make an offer.
You have to have the duties owed first.
Yes.
whether
Of course,
you-
yeah, that's a
And then you
given.
have to have the consent form. that-
No, well, he's only representing the seller. If the seller's gonna represent the buyer's agent, yes.
Yes.
Consent,
You
yeah,
go free.
absolutely,
Make an offer.
yes.
Well, 3/4.
Right, then it goes to BB. Okay.
Yes.
Correct.
But yeah, you're right, yeah, you're gonna have to do
So do you
one
have
of
to
these.
have this-
Oh, you wanna put an offer on this, or give us down, here's the duties owed, here's this, here's that, now let's do it.
So do you have to call the seller to get the consent to act same?
Absolutely, you're gonna have to, but you're gonna already have them duties owed that I may or may not
Right.
May or may
represent
not.
the buyer.
So again, if you're doing,
But let's just throw another wrench into it. Seller says, well, that's fine, but I'm not paying you to represent the buyer. Now what do we do? Right?
exactly.
Yeah, send it down the road, right? Because we go like, you guys, one thing I don't think we think enough about in real estate is the liability that we put on ourselves when we represent a buyer or a seller. It's huge liability, fiduciary, we have on both sides, you guys, and I don't think we think about that a lot of times. Because we're just having fun, and I hear agents all the time, well, yeah, Jeff, I did a dual representation, and I get half a percent on each side. Really? Right? You want all the liability now. If something happens, I hope you take that $500 and it was worth it. I mean, you guys, because this is reality right now, so we need to really seriously think about this kind of stuff. Because you know, I know what's going to happen. Is they're going to say, well, I don't want to pay Elliot to represent me as a buyer, so I'm going to go right to Tim and say, Tim, I want you to put an offer on your property for me. And then Tim's going to say, well, okay, that's great, we can do it. How are you going to pay me? Well, I can't pay you. Well, the seller's not paying you. Now what? Right? Remember back in the day, a lot of the older realtors, our job is not to look at commissions, it's to help people buy and sell homes. Remember that in the very beginning? Hello, I'm the only one? Right? We were taught, don't look at commissions, help Susie get into a home. Right? Irregardless of the commission. Today, my opinion, this is Jeff, not Jeff the managing broker here, that's going to throw that out the window. Because if my buyer can't pay me, what are we doing?
Not working for free.
There you go. And what you doing with liability? I love you, you got a pretty smile, I'll represent you for nothing. Right? Remember that we just taught somebody, no good deed goes unpunished. That, you better believe that line, because that happens more than you can imagine in real estate. Okay, Tim.
All right, number 2, length of agreement. Subject to section 14, this agreement begins on the date last signed by the buyer and broker. Buyer and the broker. We'll talk about that in a second. And automatically ends on whatever date. Is it for 1 week, 2 weeks, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? We figure that with the buyer, what you're comfortable
Right.
putting there. You gotta be careful with that too, okay? Or upon closing of a transaction, whichever is later.
So while we're right there, Tim, let's go to section 14. Either party, notice I put either.
Before you do that, so what do you guys, you meet Jeff the buyer, he's cool with it, what are you putting for length of the agreement?
30 days with the auto extension, 90 days.
There is no such thing as an auto extension, first of all.
That's
Good try, though.
Six months.
So I got 3 months, I got 30 days, 3 months, 6 months, a year, for the rest of your life. Okay, but I mean, just think about that, because that's, you're gonna put something there. So,
Well, I will just tell you this, guys. Back in the day, when I was doing real estate and I was doing listings, I would not take a listing that was less than six months. Okay? That was my deal. Today, I will take a listing for 30 days if you price it correctly to sell it. Right? So listen, Mr. Buyer, if you're serious and you're ready to go, I'll do a 30-day one. Right? If I can't find you home in 30 days, we got a problem. Right? Let's don't make this a year-long process. Right? I showed you 476 homes. We haven't come to Jesus, man. We got a problem. Right? I mean, guys, I've seen it. Well, Jeff, I've showed 25 homes already. Say that slowly. What? Right? If I'm showing somebody 25 homes, I got a problem. And Jeff is the problem. Right? Listen, I showed you everything. Why aren't you buying a house? I don't, whatever. Right? Here's where you're going to part ways. Remember, guys, just because you're in one of these, there's many times they hate you and you hate them. Right? So I put whatever you feel comfortable with. 6 months, and we'll go to the section 14. Put whatever you feel comfortable with, you guys. But remember, either party get out of this transaction. I mean, out of this form. Okay? So while we're on it, let's go to section 14, the last page. And it says either. Right? I've actually had a buyer call me one time and say, the agent wants out of the B.B.R. at the time, and I don't want to, or the B.B.A. at the time, and I don't want to. I'm like, hey, say that slowly. She wants out, but you don't. You're out. Either party can cancel this thing. May cancel this agreement effective upon delivery of written notice. Email, right? That's written notice, right? We're taking emails now. So, or to the other party, unless, I underline that, buyer's under contract to purchase the property. Now we can't get out of that, right? I mean, Russ is New Homes guy right here. I mean, I've heard buyers say to a new home, maybe not Russell, new home guy, if you're gonna pay my buyer, I'm out. I'm not buying this house. If you're gonna pay him. If you're gonna pay them, I'm out of the deal. I've got that signed right now. We're under contract. So we better be able to make sure we're doing that. Now, guys, I've only heard it a couple times. But it's still there. Right? Now, Russ has probably heard it more than any of us. So we got to make sure, again, you guys, that we all understand that can't get out cancellation unless it's under contract. Tim?
so unlike the listing agreement, that's for 6 months, if they want to cancel in 3 months, what can we do to try to keep some of our money? So it's a 6-month deal, they want to cancel in 3 months, because they found another realtor. Even though they didn't tell us that, but that's what they did, let's be honest. They found another realtor. What are we gonna try to do to get something out of the deal?
Cover the properties you showed.
Well, I'm the listing agent, you're the seller, and after 30 days, you kick me to the curb. Tim, you're great, but,
Oh, for selling.
yeah, right. Because we have a 6-month contract as a listing agent, right? Jeff signs it, I sign it, 6 months, me and you are stuck, Nance, to sell this house. But at 3 months, Nancy doesn't want me anymore.
Can you do that clause like in the listing agreement that any properties you showed them?
No, I'm on the selling side. This is the listing side, sorry, not to confuse
You're on the
everybody.
buy side and you switch
This,
to the
this,
listing.
I want to compare the listing agreement, contractual stuff, to this cancellation. So to get out of for the seller to get out of a listing agreement, they can cancel, right? We have 3 months left. Correct. We will do a WC in hopes of when they list it with Ricky and Remax, we get a referral fee, right? We all know that. Here, when the buyer wants to cancel, it's done. It's over. There is no, well, Tim, it's for 6 months and they canceled after a week. Well, I guess they got a problem, and they're done. They can walk away. Unless you showed them 25 properties, and you can document it, you keep track of those properties, and you can follow it down the road, and then there's a whole procuring cost thing that we just love being involved in.
I don't think that's even gonna help.
So the listing agreement, it's hard for them to cancel, but the buyer agreement is very buyer friendly. They get, you could put 7 years on here, it expires, in 7 years. They wanna cancel in a week, they can cancel in a week.
Okay, that was gonna be my question, procuring costs. So you show them 30 houses, and they decided house number 10, that's the one they want.
After they left you?
They seen then 20 more houses later, knowing they wanna do house number 10, and they cancel on you, they can go back to the seller and get house number 10 and you just out of luck?
You're out of luck. Guys, procuring cars, procuring
Your
cars.
SOL, not just out of luck, your SOL.
Ever do.
You know what that means?
Guys, procuring cause is very, very, very hard to prove.
Just so you know, with procuring cars,
Hey, I didn't write the forms. I didn't write the forms.
Usually-
Okay, wasn't me.
usually whoever writes the offer typically gets the money. So you could have shown the house yesterday. 2 days from now, Ricky and Remax writes the offer. You're gonna say, this is bullshit. Ricky's probably gonna get the money. I hate to say it. That's how this stuff works out when you go down to arbitration and stuff. Well, who wrote the offer? Well, Ricky and Remax. Well, then he gets the money. But I showed the house 2 days ago. They're not gonna be able to have an offer. Well, because the buyer didn't communicate or whatever, it doesn't matter. Ricky put it up, you use buyer's agent, Ricky gets the money.
I've been in procuring cause cases, guys. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah, exactly.
Please.
I think it'll just help the listing so quicker because you have the agents that wanna get someone under contract. You know, sometimes I have listings and I call an agent for feedback and they have nothing to say. I'm like, did you even try to sell this house? You know, to get it under contract. And they'll say, oh, well, the buyer just decided to keep looking. Well, okay, that's cool.
Because I think what this is gonna do more than anything, guys, is make sure that when you're working with a buyer, they're ready, willing, and able. Not almost, ready, willing, and able to do a deal. Because today, guys, I don't tell you, buyer's agents, most of the buyers today are flake as hell today. So what I'm saying is, this is a protection, in my opinion. Because if you're not serious and ready to buy a home, you're not ready, willing, and able, meaning you don't have a rent, you're not in a long-term deal, you've got the money, you've been approved, fully approved, you're ready to go, then I don't know why I'm gonna sign and waste my time with you. Especially if they say, I can't pay you. And now you're gonna go to the seller to get paid, right? So guys, it's gonna make you, I think at the end of the day, with buyers, making sure they are ready, willing, and able. That's gonna be the most important thing, is stop wasting your time with these dingbats. I mean, seriously. Guys, they will waste as much time as you allow them. Right? Go to your doctor and see how much time they'll let you waste. Right? Doctor, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna come in today, but after this, I want you to take me to lunch. And then after we go to lunch, I gotta run by DMV. Hey, well, I'm at DMV. Will you mind walking my dog? Guys, there are agents walking dogs, taking people to the grocery store. Yeah? Taking them to DMV. Yeah. So, I think it's gonna make buyers, guys, we're more deadly serious about it.
Question about number 2.
Hold on, one second,
We're on number 2, I know. Yeah.
Number one, I would just say, many years in the business, as a realtor Uber driver is out the door. I mean, we were Uber drivers before this happened. So
That's
now-
right.
I mean, I've had it happen to me. I showed 7, 10 houses and everything. People are really great. They love you. You're friendly with them. And then you go on vacation or go away for a couple of days and they buy a brand new home without you.
Yep.
It's time we become professionals. I don't know any lawyer that says, I like you and I think I'll handle your case.
Yeah.
They get a job by
That's
having you
what-
sign a
that's-
case.
that's exactly
And
right.
they also get some money in this
Bingo.
situation. If you don't get money in this situation, you know, if I'm really serious about buying a house and I think you're my agent, I'm not gonna hesitate. Even giving some
That's right.
upfront earnest money if I have to. But we've been so lackadaisical and we've become professionals now.
That's right.
And I see this
I
over the
agree.
years I've been in this business, that I know it's time we become professionals and get paid for what we do. Unless you wanna be another Uber
Good
realtor.
job, good job. I remember years and years and years ago, I picked somebody up in a hotel to show them homes. And I was chewing on my arm the whole time going, what the hell are you doing? Right? Hey, guess what? They didn't buy the house. Okay? But I did give them a nice tour of the valley. Yeah, it was really good, a lot of fun. And I said, I had bit my arm all to hell. Because I was like, why are you doing this? And I knew it was wrong. I learned from that day.
Okay, one more question.
Please,
Me?
yes.
Okay, so I feel like I just got, when I first became an agent, I was told you do the buyer's agreement and you show a property that you get the commission. Now you're telling me this new one, if I get it to the sign, I show a property and they cancel after, I don't get the commission?
Correct.
So this removes,
Yes.
it's all like,
Yes.
why don't we just throw this in the trash?
Yeah.
But even that, I have to interrupt. The old form, if you had a sign, that doesn't guarantee you a commission because you showed the house. Just because you showed the house, that doesn't mean you're gonna get
Guarantees
the
that
money.
if you, somebody buy it, oh, we won't go into that.
Why this is
I won't go
you
into that.
had a buyer, the whole thing, when I first got my license and the classes would say you need to do
Yes.
then it would protect your commission, you could go after your commission.
You can.
You go after the buyer on that.
And can you still?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
I've been down at LVR, I saw a lot of you at the meetings, I think there was 5 or 7 meetings. You know, 300, 400, 500 agents. And every class we went around and said, who uses the BBA in their normal everyday? A few people put their hands up. Have any of you ever sued a client for their money? Never.
We don't do
No,
that.
We don't. So that's the guarantee if you wanna go to court, but it just doesn't happen. We don't need on the LVRJ front page, you know, Realty One agent sues client for buyer fees. You know, even though we're in the right, and we deserve that money. That would just make us look that much more derelict in our duties.
So let me ask you this, and that's a great, Tim, bringing a great point. If we're not willing to take this to the distance, then why are we doing it? Right? And I wish there were more agents taking buyer suit to small claims court or whatever it is in suing for. Because right now they know that if you don't do it, they go to somebody else. It's no big deal. One of our agents, his whole team signed them. And I said to him one time, what's going on? How come you don't? Well, Jeff, we haven't signed it, but we're not gonna do it. I'm like, you have a signed contract. Any judge in the land that you sit in front of is gonna go, you have a signed contract. You agreed to pay them X amount of dollars, right? Well, yeah, but he was mean, and he looked at he was cross-eyed one day, and he kicked the dog. They're gonna say, I don't give a shit. You have a signed contract. Pay him, done, case closed. That's what's gonna happen. But we won't take it to the distance. Why? That's it. That's it. I'm serious, you guys.
But Jeff, this clause in number 14, where the buyer can send an email,
Yep.
cancel the contract.
Yes.
Done.
Done.
Everything else.
Like Tim said, you guys are gonna tighten this stuff up. It's the only thing we can do. We're just talking about it today. I believe, this is Jeff, not the broker. I think that this thing is gonna change in a few more weeks. 4 weeks. I think it's gonna change. Please.
I think that the protocol is that buyer should, reach out to the broker to say they're not happy in this agreement and get out of it, you know, somehow, and that broker refer it to someone in that.
Duly noted. Tim, write that down. We'll write that down right here. Write that down. I don't disagree with you guys. I mean, guys, here's the thing. If you tell your seller, there's a seller, you're gonna be responsible for paying your commission, all right? And if I show you Banana Street House and you cancel this and you buy Banana Street House, I'm gonna take your small claim. Will I win or lose? I don't know. What's small claim per stone? It's not that much to go down there. Will they do it? I don't know. It's still uncharted territory. But again, you guys, what you just said, let's bring back the professionalism in this business where they want to use this and not, let's make sure we answer the phone through the entire transaction. We as broker managers, we get more calls. I haven't heard from my agent in 6 weeks. I don't know what my agent's doing. They're gone. They're on vacation. Where'd they go? That's gonna change all that. Because if I'm in a buyer's program with you and I don't hear from you, I can send you an email and cancel the deal. Right? So again, just like Tim said, this is buyer eccentric and heavy, not agent.
So is
Right?
this between you, like, me as an agent,
Yes.
and the buyer, or it has nothing to do with the broker?
And as the broker, all of us are together.
So then they should be reaching out to you.
Yep,
They
I
wanna
don't have a problem with that.
divorce me, they need to reach out.
But
to
you would be amazed, you guys, at what I hear, and I know agents. And a lot of times if I get a complaint on an agent, and they'll say, this agent sucks, they don't do this, they're never around, I'm like, that's not even possible, I know this agent, they're amazing, they're rock stars, they know what they're doing. Something's gotta be wrong. And then I'll touch out to the agent, hey, since your client called and said, blah, 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 and I know better, right? I mean, my job at the end of the day, you guys, is to defend you guys within reason.
You can refer them to
Right?
another agent where we.
That's exactly right, and that's what we're trying to do, exactly
So
right.
they need to revise 14.
Yep. Tim, write that down.
All right, number 3, let's move along here, okay? Number 3.
Hold on, you guys, we'll keep going.
Yeah, let's try to keep the questions to the sections that we're talking about, or else we're gonna be here until midnight, okay? Broker fee. Buyer agrees to pay broker as provided below. The broker fee for any properties involving the broker's efforts under section 5. The broker fee is not set by law or by any realtor association and is fully negotiable. The broker fee is, check those that apply. Blank percentage of the gross purchase price of the property, reflected on the final settlement statement, exactly a dollar amount, or something else. The broker fee is due and payable upon successful closing. If buyer enters into an agreement to purchase any property within blank days following the expiration or earlier cancellation of this agreement, then the buyer shall pay the broker fee or broker upon closing. The broker fee shall be in US currency and paid at the time, as a condition of closing. This agreement shall act as escrow instructions for payment of the broker fee to broker. Section 3 shall survive the expiration or earlier cancellation of this agreement. This is where the legalese
Okay,
makes
so,
my head hurt. You know,
okay,
trying to
hold
read
on,
this.
let's, before we go, jump in that, it said, make sure that we check out section 5. Let's go to section 5. And you notice I underlined a whole lot of that. Broker's efforts. Broker will exercise good faith efforts to, 1, locate and present suitable properties to buyer. B, tour and prepare detailed analysis of specific property per buyer's request. What is a detailed analysis of a specific property? CMA. How about the RPA? I'm sorry, not RP, RPR. RPR, do you know what the RPR is in back? That's an amazing site. I mean, that thing is way cool. You should be doing that, right? C, help buyer prepare, negotiate, and secure a contract to purchase one or more properties. D, cooperate with a real estate licensee working with the seller. Notice I underlined and highlighted it, okay, because we don't really like working together for some reason, which I don't understand, because when you work together, it makes life so much easier. To sell, to facilitate, and complete the buyer's purchase of the property. And E, perform other services needed and requested by the buyer. So you guys, so there's telling you what your efforts are to get that. So now, Tim, do I put 12% in that box? 150%? 3%?
I don't know.
So I'm gonna put 77%.
What number are you gonna put on 3, let's call it box number 1? Somebody yell out something.
4.
I got 4. Do I hear 5? 5. Who got 5?
So you're 12.
Do I hear 12?
12 is great.
What do we think of 4? Honestly, what do you think about 4? 4's good, right? What about 3? 3 is good too, I think, right?
Are we talking percentages or?
Yeah.
No, of course we're talking apples, actually, not percentages, apples. So I got 4, I got a 3, what about a 2? We put a 2? Right? Put a 1, why not put a 1? No, we don't want the 1, no. So whatever you put there is the most amount of money you're gonna make. Even if you're getting more from the builder. Sorry, Wendy. We had a fight about this the other day. Okay, so you go to Russ, and Russ is offering, 3 bananas plus 20 grand because he got to get rid of this house tomorrow. You're not getting the 20 grand as the buyer's agent. You're not getting the money as the buyer's agent. You're gonna get whatever that number is on that box.
Just out of curiosity, so where would the 20 grand go?
That's a bonus from the builder. That's a bonus from the builder. Where does it go? It goes back to the builder. Or I can say, what you know what I'm gonna do? Because I'm a fiduciary, you guys, you're gonna hear this word fiduciary a lot. If you don't know what that means, you really gotta read up on it and go Google it. That means you put the buyer's financial stuff in front of your financial stuff. So you making money is here, them saving money is here. That's the gig. Okay, if you wanna be a realtor, if you wanna be a real estate agent, then that's okay, you can do whatever the hell you want, okay? But that money, Jeff, you know what, I just got a bonus from D.R. Horton, and you can use this towards your closing costs. He's gonna love me forever. Would I rather have 20 grand? I would. But as of now, and it might change, maybe there is something where we could put some hokey wording in there that we can get that money. But I got a feeling that's never gonna happen.
But on that note though, please,
Stay back.
don't do any hokey verbiages of your own that you just came up with.
Correct.
Don't, IA it. Hey, how do I get more commission out of these people? Oh, don't do that. Right now, don't do that until we know more.
So
But again,
Tim-
you guys, this is a moving target. We don't know where it's gonna sit. where it's gonna be.
If everybody has questions, raise your hand so we can see. Yeah.
So in addition to, so if I had 4,
Yep.
and I had the 3% plus the bonus, can that bonus get wrapped up
No.
within that 4, or no, it's
No.
separate?
No. What, how could you technically get that extra 1%?
Plus bonuses.
She has a BBA for 4.
Plus bonuses.
Russell's paying 2.5 at D.R. Horton. She's a little disappointed, it's only 2.5, right? Cheap builders. But she wants 4. How is she gonna get that 1.5? Yeah, from your buyer. Will we? Probably not. Let's be honest. We should, like Jeff said, we should.
But I was just wondering the bonus.
You signed it.
Can
You signed that you would pay me for.
And again, guys, that's still up in the air because there are bonuses out there, right?
Yeah.
They took the variable and they took the,
Right, if you have
that off that,
4%
yeah.
and they're paying 2.5, why can't that other 2.5 come out of the bonus?
Can't.
we talked to the people down at
Because
LBR.
you can only make, that's why this line is so important. You put 3, 4, 10.
Builders are just gonna start offering bonuses.
I mean, Russell, how many
Right, and
bonuses,
then how do we cut?
in the course of a year, how many above the commission
Are you serious?
bonuses do agents get?
How do you cover any of it?
Wait a second, 2, 10, 100?
Depends on the market, the bad market, there's a lot.
Okay.
You know, 20, 30 over the course of the year. On a good market, none.
No, okay, so 2 a month, maybe 3 a month on a really good year, out of 17,000 realtors. That you happen to have the buyer that's gonna get that house. I mean, we want you to get
You can't
it,
have an opinion.
we want you to get it,
You don't.
but according to the lawsuit, you can't. You're gonna get whatever's on the BBRA.
Now, guys, please keep in mind, we didn't make the forms,
Yeah, correct.
we didn't
Don't shoot the
approve the
messenger.
forms, okay? They were sent to us.
No, but
Please.
just so I'm clear though,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you,
But if the,
yes, hold on, 1 second, go ahead.
So just so I'm clear, if a builder is offering a bonus, that bonus is not to be touched by an LVR member?
No,
That's it.
you can offer it to the buyer.
Only,
Yes.
only a co-op that is offered by a builder. So
Correct.
if the builder catches on to this,
Yes,
then
yes,
that's it.
Yes.
All right, got it.
But again, how many homes does Visa sell in a year? 3,000,
not quite that many.
Okay,
Let's say-
2,000.
Let's say 2,000, 2,500.
2,500, so out of 2,500, 30, 20, between 20 and 30 you might have a bonus. So it's not running rampant, guys, is my point. But,
but are people gonna adjust things to it?
yeah,
Absolutely.
Now,
All
does-
right, we go with the ebb and flow.
So that's not allowed to write it here from the very
No.
beginning?
That's right, no,
And does that change if it's a flat fee versus a percentage, if you do the flat fee?
no,
no, because you're gonna put a flat fee of 7,000 or whatever that number is.
exactly.
Yeah,
Patrick, go ahead.
When we were at the LBR last week, and I wrote all this into this contract that we had, they were saying we could put 5% plus 10,000 bonus if it's a new home purchase. So you're saying in 7 days that shit all changed?
It's gonna change by tomorrow, Patrick. It's gonna change again tomorrow. You know, I mean, 6 days ago, the BBR was 5.5 pages. Within 12 hours, it went to 3. So,
Let me ask you this,
yeah.
because a builder is the one most likely to put a bonus out there, but it certainly can't happen with a resale seller. But in a builder contract, it says broker commission to be X number of dollars.
right.
It doesn't say 2% plus or 3% plus
Depends on the builder.
Right.
10,000, it says
Right.
this is
dollar
the
amount.
dollar amount of
Right.
compensation. So when we're putting in here 4%, that is going to have a dollar equivalent.
Right,
Well, that shouldn't, in my opinion,
yes,
affect whether you can accept it. Now, if that bonus exceeds that maximum amount, then any monies in excess would then have to either be declined and go back to the builder's pocket,
Right.
or reallocated to
Right.
your buyer client as a gift or concession
right.
from you, which.
Guys, again, listen, this isn't, we're not saying yes or no at this point because we don't know. I mean, I think this is gonna change because, trust me, every class that we have done and LVR has done, this is the same shit that comes up. Okay, I shouldn't say shit, the same stuff. that comes
Say it.
up. Okay, sorry about that. The same stuff that keeps coming up, because guys, we agree with you. We're just tasked with selling, this is the way they want it to be done. Is it gonna change? Absolutely. And listen, I hope it does change, please.
Is this nationwide or is this those?
Everybody's gonna have their own little forms. There are states that have been doing this, where the buyers paid the agent forever. We just haven't done that here in the West, per se. But there are several states that do it already. They're like, it's no big deal, we've been doing this forever.
You know how, the duties owed is NRS regulated, like they have to sign it, right?
Yeah.
The buyer has to. It's a law. What if the BBRA was a law? Would that make it easier for us?
Probably.
I think it would,
Yeah,
right?
that makes it
Okay.
easier.
So,
Stronger.
shameless plug for Summerlin, August 8th, the CEO and the president of NVR is coming to an office meeting, on a Thursday.
Bring
One of
extra
the-
chairs.
One of the things she's trying to do, the new CEO, is get this to the legislature to make it a law. that would, you know, then there's no argument, right? You gotta sign it, Mr. Buyer, it is what it is, you know, so.
That's what we need,
Not a
more
bit.
laws.
So
That always
with new
helps.
homes,
Let's get
most
more
of the
freaking
time you're
laws.
not being paid on the gross purchase price. With new homes, a lot of times you're not being paid on the upgrades, you're not being
Right.
paid. So now is your buyer responsible for the difference between what the builder's willing to pay you versus what the gross purchase price is?
Technically, yes, if you wanna go after your buyer for that difference.
But you could negotiate down, you can
Sure.
always negotiate down your commission.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Tim, you had a question in the back for a while.
Ed, Roy,
So, you know, the 3 hours we were over there in MBR was, the summary in my head was like, basketball kid. That's all I got, basketball kid. So, I got 2 questions. So one, let's say you agree with your buyer, this is the one thing I didn't understand, so 2 things. One, let's say you agree with your buyer on 2.5%, but you find them a house that the seller is willing to pay 3%. I don't understand how we get this 0.5%, I don't know what verbiage to use or whatnot, this is number one. Number 2 is, how do we, let's say we go for a house for, I don't know, 580, but then they decide to go for 610. So how do we do it with the transaction fee?
Oh, yeah.
You lost me.
The transaction fee is
So
based
when
on
the price
purchase
changes-
price, so how do you determine what number to put in there based on?
how do you put it in there now? How do you put on the broker's comp form for the transaction? What number do you put there now?
Sales price.
Well,
Yeah.
well, you
So
know
you gotta
what-
guess it, right? You gotta
You
guess
know
it.
what the sales price is at the time, but when you're having them sign this, you don't know what the sales price is.
Well, just like the broker compensation, you're having them sign that in the beginning too.
Separate.
Right, that's a real ROG form that they have to sign, and you're putting a number on there now, right? 600, 800, 1,000, 1,200, 1,400, if you get my drift,
No.
right? So that would be the same thing here. And I think this has to match our broker comp
But
form.
when you're doing a buyer.
You can't put 600 here and then it's
Hey, you guys,
800.
the
Yeah?
thing is, we're talking little anomalies. Most of your buyers aren't saying, hey, I really want, I could go 400 or 500, but today I feel like 6 is gonna work. Right? It does happen, so there's gonna be odd little things like that happen. So again, we're not sure how you're gonna do that. Would it be a change order? Would it be a debt? We don't know. Right? Again, you guys, we're still trying to figure the same wacky thing out too.
So-
Sorry, you mentioned one thing, and I didn't quite understand it. So we're also putting our
Transaction fee on that last box.
On the
You
last
should.
box.
On the last box, yes.
Because
So they know that
let's say you did. Let's say you
Unless
did.
you're paid, and then I need to.
If you didn't put it on there, you're gonna have it on your broker's compensation form.
Answer about the 2.5% and if you guys are offering 3%, how do we get that?
You don't.
So, all right, so wait, we're getting a little crazy. All right, so I'm your buyer, Roy. I got 2.5% I'm gonna pay you. Right? That was your question. I'm the buyer. I signed your BBRA 2.5%. Jeff's listing is for 3%. What's the question?
How do I get the 3%?
You don't.
But they offer 3%.
Doesn't matter. Take it over 15%.
That's why I put 4.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Can we put here 3% and then have it like a change order or something?
Absolutely not.
2.5?
No, we want to, trust me, we've tried all these a million times with the lawyers and everything. Now, that might change August 14th, but as of
Well, I
now,
mean, just like you were saying in the back, you know, they said, put 4% and 10,000 bonus or whatever it was.
now, one other thing, if you've been down to LVR, stay with me again. If you've been down to LVR, a lot of the committee that does this, and they work their ass off on this, and I got involved at the end. A lot of their answers are, well, go back and talk to your broker. And it's true, because I think as a company, we're gonna have some little carve-outs from this. I'm almost positive, okay, to make things a little bit easier for us. But this is what LVR and NVR needs to satisfy the Department of Justice. That's what this is for, to satisfy the Department of Justice. How much of this can we deviate from? The answer is 0 now, but I think we're gonna have some little carve-outs on change order forms or whatever. That if we get sued, we're then we're on our own, because we deviated from the lawsuit.
That's what I
That's the
would
problem.
be careful about, is that right there. And that's what I'm saying, don't put your own little verbiage in it. Don't put what LVR said, because at the end of the day, the Department of Justice will be breathing down your neck. Going, what the hell did you come in with? Well, Susie, LVR said it was fun.
And one last thing, one more second, Joe. When this came out, I called up 9 brokers in town. You know all of them. They've been around for a million years. Okay, and I asked them all, what are you guys doing? You know, using it, 3 of them are using this. 3 have created their own at the companies. And the other 3 don't know what they're doing. They haven't decided. You know what I'm saying? So you might run into a friend at ABC Remax, and they say, oh no, we don't have this. We got this form that's really cool. It's a page and a half. You know, it's much easier, okay? But then they could lose their license or get sued by the DOJ by deviating from it. So just be careful. If you hear that stuff and say, you come to Jeff, ABC has a much better form, just be careful.
And this is a regulation, not a law, right?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
then just
Right here, you guys, Rachel, go ahead.
Just real quickly, so, my understanding was if we put 3% in there, or for whatever, and they're offering 2.5%, we can accept the lower amount though, correct?
Absolutely.
That's not an issue.
Yeah, that's not an issue.
We can accept it, we just don't need a new one signed.
That's right.
There might be a change order, potentially.
Yes.
Change order.
Right.
But you can,
So we can
if,
put 4 plus whatever.
yeah, and if they're paying it to you, you can accept that. You can go lower, you can't go higher. Correct. Like, was that the prices right? You can't go lower. Okay, all right, Mark.
So basically, you should make this 6%.
Absolutely.
If you want to.
Put 12%. Now, here's what happens though, Mario, if you're sitting there and you tell your buyer, hey, by the way, I'm gonna put down 6%, but you're not gonna be required to pay me that. They're gonna say, but it's in writing, and I just signed the back of it. That said, I'm gonna pay you 6%, I got a problem with that. So you gotta use some thoughts. Yeah, Ella was thinking, all right, who else?
Mr. French.
Because I kinda got lost in
Shuffle.
conversations here on this three. There's your percentage, but I thought I heard somebody say this third box is where you put your
Transaction fee, yes.
If you want to.
If you want to.
Or put it on the broker comp form.
You can leave it vacant if you want. You don't have to check the box if you don't want to.
But if you're charging one, you gotta put it in there.
Yeah. If you're paying it, then you don't put it in. So you're good there. Richard?
You know, when you deal with a lawyer, the lawyer will say something like, I'll take care of this for you for $5,000.
Yeah.
Flat amount. Tell me what is a good idea, or a bad idea, or a stupid idea if you put in a specific dollar amount that you agreed on with your buyer?
There really isn't, because, but if the compensation is over that number, then you're not gonna get it. That's why. Listen, let's say they're buying a $600,000 or $500,000 house, and the commission's gonna be 15 grand, put 16,000 in there, right? That would cover you 3%. So, I mean, what you guys, that's where you're gonna have to do what you feel comfortable with, right? The problem is, again, you can't go up, you can come down, right? Again, this isn't my rule, this is theirs. Good, one second, Russ, go ahead.
But when there is like, let's say you do this and because it is in writing and a client could potentially be on the hook for the full amount and they're balking at that. So you say, okay, we're gonna do 3%, this is the fair compensation.
Yep.
And you take them out and they look at some homes and there is a home that is offering 3.5% or 4%.
Okay.
There's nothing in here that would prevent a new one from being signed. With that amount, provided the client is willing. Now, if the client says, no, I'm not willing to sign a new one or to make a change based on the purchase of this home, you'd be stuck. But you certainly have the ability and opportunity to say, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, you know, hey, for this home, they're actually offering a slightly higher compensation to me for helping you purchase this home. And with your permission, I would like to adjust our agreement to reflect that full amount.
By doing a new one.
By doing a new one.
Okay.
And would you agree to that? Hopefully you have a good enough relationship with them.
All right.
They say yes.
All right, I love it.
But there's nothing that prevents you from making a change, provided all parties agree.
Okay, so I love it. So that's on the orange house. Well, guess what? The orange house fell through. They ended up buying the banana house, which I don't have a BBA for, because I did a new one. You follow me?
You gotta do a new one. You gotta do another one.
You follow me? That could be your issue right there, you guys. I signed one of you on the banana house, but the orange one fell through. I'm gonna buy it without you now because I don't have to pay you because we did it on this one. Because it was dated today, we sold the banana house 2 weeks ago. You follow me?
Russ, perfect point. We drove that to death down in LBR. This is the answer. The answer is no, unfortunately, because how long do you have to upload documents into SkySlope when you get a contract signed? This is gonna be the same thing. You're gonna have to get it up there right away. And if we ever get audited and see 14 BBRAs under Russell's account, we're gonna get, it's just gonna hit the fan, okay? No different than a listing agreement, you put it in for 3 days, and I'm the seller, and I said, Jeff, this other agent's gonna only charge me 1%, you're charging me 6%. So could you adjust, let's throw that one away, you know, and cancel it, okay? The BBRA, they're not gonna let us do that. They sign one, the only way around that potentially, again, we don't know for sure, is in writing, the buyer cancels. Hey Russ, this is Tim, I'm canceling our agreement, okay? And then you do a new one the next day. That might be a way around, okay? But you can't have several BBRAs.
Like
Without
the only
canceling
problem
the
that I
first
have with
one.
that is if
Oh, I
that
know.
house falls through and they didn't.
I agree.
You showed them that house 2 weeks earlier. Hang on, you guys, let's do this, hold on, you guys. One more question, and let's get finishing up on it, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I got
Okay.
Okay, good. Hang on, go ahead.
So I just wanna clarify between line 1, the percentage, and exactly.
Yes.
So in the first scenario, when I asked him if it was 3%, you put in 3%, they
Yep.
offered a bonus, you can't get any of that bonus.
Correct.
How about in line 2, though, you're putting exactly a dollar amount, and now they're offering 2.5%. Well, what's the difference between my first scenario and my second scenario? We just changed percentage to exact dollar amount, why is there a difference? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I know what you're saying.
Okay.
Exactly, is everyone ever hear of the company Help You Sell?
Yeah.
They have a flat fee, right? You sign that contract, then they can't change, oh, no, never mind, it's gonna be 6%. No, it's a flat fee, okay? Same thing with you, you're gonna have to make a decision. If you
So
wanna
if
work
it's-
for 15
but
grand,
if
put
it's-
15 grand.
So if I put $10,000,
Right.
let's just say, and 2% is
More.
than $10,000, I can still get my 10?
Yeah, because that's what you have on the BBRA. You're not gonna get the 12,000, because it's 600.
What I really not love is, everybody's coming up thinking in their head, let's see, so if I did this, and I moved Michelle in more on that side, and I jumped on my one leg, I could do this, you guys, I strongly recommend you try to not do a whole lot of that stuff. You guys, does anybody realize the Department of Justice is all over us? You better be careful what you're doing. Okay, this isn't us. The Department of Justice comes down, they're gonna be the ones looking at it, going, what were you meaning here? Well, what I really want to do is I want to see how much money I can screw out of them as many times. Because guys, think of what that's going to look like. Again, this isn't me, guys, I'm with you guys. But I want you to understand something. This isn't coming from us. The government, who's got unlimited amounts of money, has put a target on our back, and they're not going to stop. So you better be careful how quick and funny you're going to be with this stuff.
But on here it says on number 3, it says check all those that apply.
Yes.
So you can do all of them.
You can do all if you want. You only get paid right.
Say, if seller's bonus if
Right.
applicable, I mean,
Right.
can you put something like that as the exact?
No.
Again, okay, guys, let's do this. Hold questions for a minute. Otherwise, we're gonna be here till midnight. We haven't got the first page done yet. All right, Timothy, please.
What do we got? Number 4, disclosures, our favorite thing, the big D.
Okay, one second. So what would you put for days? What would you put here for days? How many days would you put? Now, do you know in our listing agreement it says that if this deal cancels, expires, whatever it is, after X amount of days, you can still get paid, except unless they assign another brokerage agreement to somebody else? It's to my understanding that's gonna be added in here. So if they enter in a list, an RPA, a BBRA with another person, it kicks your days out, is what I've understood. I don't know if that's fact, but that's what I've heard is gonna be added to that line right there. So how many days would you put? 60, 90, right? Right? You can put whatever days you want there, just remember, it could be canceled out of it as well. Okay, questions about that? Okay, so it says section 3, then back up to the brokers agreement again, what we're doing, broker's fee is not set. Guys, the biggest thing they're trying to do is protect the consumer, because they believe that we've been dogging the consumer forever, and that's why they're doing this. Okay, that's the thing we gotta be sure careful on. All right, next line, Tim, please.
Where are we going? Disclosures on page 2. We made it to page 2. Buyer acknowledges receipt of the duties owed form explaining the duties of agent in Nevada. No questions about that, right? We got that, right? All right, good. B.
Please sign the duties owed before you sign the BBRA.
Right, don't get into the habit of sending them everything at the same date. The RPA, duties owed, BBRA, you sign at the same time. You're gonna get in trouble. That's gonna be a fine from LVR. There's gotta be
The
space
number
and
one
time in between.
thing that the division gets real estate agents on is the duties owed.
4B, buyer understands that depending on the circumstances, it may be necessary or appropriate for the broker to act as an agent for both sides, for both parties, for each such transaction. In such event, broker will see buyer's agent's consent to buyer's representation of additional parties as soon as practicable and will obtain the written consent to act form signed by all parties. Somebody brought that up before. Pretty easy, right? Okay, and C, buyer consents and acknowledges that other potential buyers represented by the broker may make offers on or acquire interest in the same or similar properties as the buyer.
Mr. Buyer, don't work with just one buyer at any given time. Somebody else might want to buy this house.
Questions on 4? We all got that, right? You sure now? Come on.
Wendy, we haven't heard your beautiful voice. How about you take number 5?
Okay.
Even though I already read it.
Okay. If anybody doesn't know me, I'm Wendy Schaller. I'm the sales manager over at the Summerlin office. So if you need anything, I'm here for you. Broker's efforts. Broker will exercise good faith efforts to A, locate and present suitable properties to the buyer. B, tour and prepare detailed analysis of specific properties per buyer's request. C, help buyer prepare, negotiate, and secure a contract to purchase one or more properties. D, cooperate with any real estate licensee working with the seller to facilitate and complete the buyer's purchase of the property. And E, perform other services as needed and requested by buyer.
And that section 5 really is reiterating what you've already told them in your buyer's consultation. Your laundry list of things you're gonna do. NER has to print out 179 things I do for my buyer. Pick 5 and tell them that's what you're gonna do, or whatever it might be. But that reiterates what you've told them about your value you're bringing to them in an effort to get this signed. Kind of make sense, right? Okay.
Number 6 holds the buyer representation and duties, what they owe you and us and them. A, buyer agrees to work exclusively with the broker and not with any other. Make sure you understand it. Buyer agrees to furnish broker with all relevant data, records, and documents. How many buyers do you have today that they don't provide you all the stuff? Right? Takes an act of Congress to get it out of them. And other information including loan, pre-approval letters, and proof of funds to purchase upon request of broker, and authorizes broker to furnish copies to prospective seller, landlords, auctioneers, or exchangers. C, buyer agrees to be available to examine properties and responding in a timely manner. Those I underlined and highlighted it. We guys, the one thing that I don't think we do enough of is hold our buyers accountable. I think we let them walk all over us, and we need to put that to a stop. Good faith, inspection property, examine in a timely manner to communicate from broker. D, buyer agrees to act in good faith to acquire the property and conduct any and all inspections of the property that the buyer deems material and or important. E, one of the most important one in here, new homes, lot sales. Some sellers, particularly new home subdivisions, open houses, and for sale by owners, will not compensate broker unless broker makes the first visit with the buyer. Very important, you guys. Make sure your buyers understand that. If buyer makes their first visit without the broker, buyer agrees to compensate the broker as stated in the compensation section below. When you let your buyer know if you go into a new home, that's fine, have fun, just write us a check for 12 grand, we'll be good. They immediately may call you on the way down there. Guys, like I said, this is gonna hold them responsible, right? But if you don't explain it to them, oh no, you go look at the homes, it'll be fun, I don't need to be paid anyways, it'll be great. When they read that, they understand it, you guys, and trust me, it makes a difference. Give them some of your cards. Tim?
Number 7, for the best experience. That's right, the best experience. Buyers encouraged to be accompanied by broker on buyer's first visit to the property and to conduct all negotiations for the property in good faith and exclusively through the broker. Okay, we know what that means. Buyer understands that signing more than one buyer-broker representation agreement for any overlapping period of time could expose the buyer to the liability of paying additional fees. Buyer is not a party to any active, exclusive buyer-broker representation agreement. Buyer is a party to blank, active, or non-exclusive buyer brokerage agreements.
Doesn't that last line contradict when it says the buyer?
Yeah, that line might be going.
Yes.
You know, but supposedly there are brokers, again, that create their own BBRA, and it might be a non-exclusive BBRA. They just want to get you signed. You know, they just want to start showing you some homes. Yeah, as opposed to an exclusive agreement.
Yep.
Okay?
I
Again, I think we answered that by, so Nance, have you met with a realtor before? Yeah, I met with 3. Have you signed an agreement with them? Well, I signed something. Well, you remember what it was? No, but we need to know what that is. Could you find it for me? You gotta have that conversation with the buyer.
Well, yeah, or you could be paying both of us.
Correct.
So they'll put a number in it, I've got 2 other agreements.
Yes.
And then they just know that they may have to pay.
Right, and then you make a decision, do you wanna work with them or work with 3 other people, right?
Right, if they put a number in there,
Absolutely, right. If it says anything but 0, good luck.
Moving on.
Right. Yeah, are you gonna buy 3 houses then? Well, no, just 1. Okay, that really say 0. But you guys, how many of you guys have spoken to your buyers and they say, I never signed anything? And then you have one signed, right? We've gotten calls from other brokers that says, hey, you're a buyer, bought a house with my agent, but we had a buyer's brokerage agreement, now what? And then we said, that's between them and them, not us.
Raise a fuss, I send you an email.
Yeah, back today, yeah, back then you couldn't. Yeah, you guys, again, you guys be really, just please just be careful, man. Again, guys, I reiterate, I think this is gonna make you and your buyers more cohesive than in the past. Because you're gonna, listen, if your buyer's hemming and haw about this, I don't really like that, I don't feel right, I don't know about this, what do you do now? X up and X up and send them to the door. Right? I mean, guys, if they say to you, I don't want to sign that, well, you're going to have to sign with Susie or Mark or Larry or Steve because we're all going to be required to sign it. By the way, it's going to be a requirement, but we have no idea how we're going to mandate that. Yeah, welcome. All right, Timothy.
Jeff, one question about the title of the agreement.
Please.
Should the title of the agreement actually, for disclosure purposes, say exclusive buyer?
When you go over your top out, I went back to look and see, it doesn't say that, I think it should. Again, you guys, that might be changing. Well, I'm not gonna say it.
Has Alex looked at this agreement?
No, we're not getting involved.
Again, this is, like I said, 9 brokers, 3 are using it, 3 are doing their own, the other 3 don't know what they're doing yet. So it's gonna vary from company to company.
And you guys, in my opinion, any brokerage that takes this on and decides to do their own, you're on something. Because I'm telling you, if our Department of Justice gets a hold of it and says, we don't like this and we don't like that, and we got an unlimited amount of money, we can do this all forever, you're out of your freaking mind. So that's my opinion. I would not, that's why it doesn't matter what I think or say. When we talked to our company about it, I said, ain't no way in hell we should do our own forms. Let them take the liability off of us. But we can't get cute with it either, okay, because we know what's gonna happen. All right, Tim.
All right, 8, 9, 10, and 11 are pretty simple. I think these are actually either in the RPA or the listing agreement.
Well,
We've seen
number
them
8 is
many
important
times.
though, Tim. Yeah, read number 8, it's important.
No. Collecting broker's fee from the seller. Buyer may choose to negotiate that the broker fee be paid in whole or in part by the seller as a credit to the buyer at closing and or by seller directly to broker at closing. Is that at buyer's instruction, broker will include either or both of these in the buyer's offer to purchase the property. The broker will help buyer negotiate these with the seller. Broker will not retain any amount of any source that exceeds the amount agreed above. There you go, gang.
There it is.
Doesn't
You're
exceed
right.
the amount above.
So now, real quick.
Yes.
We, in the forms on Friday at the LVR, we're trying to get number 8 moved to number 4 because you're gonna be talking about it in number 3. And then when they flip to the second page, everybody's trying to get that moved. So then that way it flows a little bit better, so just know that might be
It
coming.
seems weird to me that how we got this far with this when that little shit wasn't done already. I had nothing to do with it, by the way, okay, but it just seems weird that it came out and we got all these fixes already when it should have been. I don't know, guys. Like I said, I was in the process. Tim's more that guy. It seems weird to me that we have this and it's like, what the hell? So that's just me. Jeff, not the broker, Jeff. Okay? I don't want anybody saying, Jeff the broker said. No, Jeff said that. Yeah, okay. Equal housing, you guys, we know what that means. Anybody can afford to buy. Wire transfer, please still be very careful with it. It is more prevalent than I've ever seen. An agent cost their client $132,000 because they wanted to be Johnny Helper. So, please make sure that. By the way, this applies to Nevada law. Your cousin, uncle in Ohio, California. Well, Jeff, in Ohio, we do it this way. I don't care. This is Nevada law, okay? And you guys know a lot, you know my feelings on that kind of nonsense already. So it's all Nevada law. Next page. Wendy, please.
Number 12, authority and capacity. Buyer warrants that the buyer has the legal capacity, full power, and authority to enter into this agreement and consummate the transaction contemplated hereby on buyer's own behalf or on behalf of the buyer, of the party buyer represents. All buyers executing this agreement are jointly and severally liable for this performance of all its terms. Buyer's obligations to pay broker is binding upon buyer and buyer's heirs, administrators, executors, successors, and assignees.
You're doing probate, we still have to do this. Additional terms, Tim, what terms should we put in there?
I have no idea.
I want a $10,000 bonus.
Yeah, I think, again, that's gonna be a broker to broker, company to company thing, just like we have the clause that we tell you to put in the RPA, extending the due diligence that all of you probably use. I don't think they use that at Remix or Coldwell Banker, that's our thing. So I think that's what, as we figure this out over the next 2 weeks, we might have some verbiage for you to put in there.
No, I did real quick this morning, talk with Damon, and when we were doing our manager meeting, and so I'm 20 years in real estate. I've used a buyer broker agreement since day one. So it's just something that I do. It doesn't actually, I like that they're enforcing it, but I myself might put a higher number on page 1, number 3, a higher number, and explain to my client that I'm going to do all I can to get the sellers to compensate that. And if they don't, I agree to reduce it to a certain percentage, but they're gonna say, well, where is that in writing? So as I was speaking with Damon this morning, he said, because I said, well, even down at LVR on Friday, I raised my hand, I'm like, well, is there a change order? What's gonna happen? How do we do that? Because title's gonna want something that says that we reduced it. If we agreed to reduce it, they still don't know. So when I was speaking with Damon today, we thought, and it might be brought up, that additional terms would be, we will do all we can to get the seller to pay X bananas. But buyer and buyer's agent agree if the seller doesn't, fulfill that, we agree to reduce it to a certain amount. We don't have the exact verbiage, but it almost would be better to include it in here instead of doing a change order later, and then that way maybe send this over to title so they know. But I'm against doing multiple ones of these because your dates are not gonna coincide with when you show your home. Because if you're showing your homes properly, you're gonna print out an MLS sheet, you're gonna take it with you, they're gonna have a copy, you're gonna have a copy, and then you're gonna write it on, and then before you write the offer, now you're gonna change the dates and times are not gonna, they're just not gonna work. And if you get audited, it's game over, guys. And so I think maybe adding something like this, it eases the mind of your buyers, but then you're covered, and then it's up to you to decide what you want. But that's just my thought, and maybe something that we can bring in there, but.
To Wendy's point, to Jeff's point, all of these little machinations we're trying to come up with to change things. What's the benefit of it to us? Why are we really doing all these things? We're trying to think outside the box. What happens if we do that and it goes through? We make what? We make more money, right? That's the only reason we're talking about this. We want to make more money, and that's what gets us in trouble. That's what's going to get the lawsuit, and someone's going to be on the front page of the RJ as the agent that did this stuff, ripping off the public, and we're all going to lose from it. So, like you've said a few times, don't look for a way to make another $1,800. Just close the deal and move on to the next one. Your life will be so much easier, I promise. It really will be, okay?
It's gonna be a challenge, you guys.
It will be.
It's gonna be a challenge, but I think we'll work through it. It's gonna get better. We'll get more forms. It's gonna change things. This is what we gotta deal with today. And again, you guys, so what happened was, is California, I think Tim was telling me this, they had like 50 new forms, and the Department of Justice came in and said 37 of them do not meet the spirit.
Oh my God.
The spirit of the new law. Well,
What is
it's not like gas? What do you mean? Spirit. Well, it doesn't meet the spirit of it, so you can't use them for it. And so that's why we got to change. So, again, you guys, remember who we're dealing with. And so that's what I'm saying. Just be really careful on that. So,
If you guys really want to get into this, Google Consumer Federation of America. Consumer Federation of America. It's a 3-page document. it's a watchdog government group of some kind, I don't
You
know.
wanna pull that up, Tim?
I do the other stuff. But those are the ones that came in and changed our 5-page RPA to a 2-page RPA. Without them, we were gonna go 6 and 7 pages.
Right here.
Okay? Well, not that, the actual RPA is listed.
Oh.
The Consumer Federation of America. So they have a 3-page handout. That'll explain a lot of this. Yeah.
Hey, quick question, have they spoken anything about, being able to add the commission to the buyer's, mortgage loan?
That's a Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac.
Supposedly they're
Could be great.
working on it, is what we have heard.
Yep.
They've actually done it in California. I had a deal like that in a buyer.
So you said be it.
I talked to the lender and the lender said we can up the price, they're within price range and they paid for my commission.
Gotcha. Okay. I don't think I sent you.
That's the RPA right there. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I hear this, man. Yeah, I always forget how to.
Let's go down to page 2, because everything else is the same. Let's go down to my. Then drag it down, get the gray and drag that down. Drag that bar down.
Hang on, guys.
Can you get this arrow? Will it go to the next page?
Try it. See if it goes to the top of page 2. That's all we want to do.
Next. We're doing that.
Tap down, tap down.
Oh.
If you were left click.
How the hell did I jump to that?
Jump to the other floor. All right, gang, you're all excited. That's the BBRA. Yay! Yay! All right, the listing agreement and the
It should be right over there.
I think it was there. Yeah, I don't, and,
You should have the RPA, just the 2 pages. The RPA, the only change is the 1 page. I said I got it. Told me kids have got it. Yes, dude. This, okay. They said we had an open, hold it up a desk like in our spare room, we'll give it to you.
okay, who else, everybody have an RPA? There's basically one change on the RPA. Go to page 2, at the top, paragraph 2, lines 1 through 5.
Yeah, we're not gonna have it up there. Just tell them.
This shit doesn't happen in summer.
Yeah,
okay?
it does all the time. We are not tech,
So
I are not
that's
tech.
that's the part of the second page of the RPA. Everyone kind of with me?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Let me belt this baby out. Buyer brokerage firm compensation. At the close of escrow or exchange of the subject property, seller shall pay buyer's brokerage, blank percentage of the gross sales price or flat amount upon execution of the residential purchase agreement or subsequent counter offers. This clause is no longer negotiable exclusively between buyer and seller, and any modification there must be ratified in writing. Is it in there?
No, I don't know about it.
Okay. So what do you think this means? So this is the RPA you're typing up to send to the listing agent. So what goes on line 2? Your commission. That's what goes there. Okay? Pretty simple, huh?
They don't counter it.
Huh? There you go. But that number has to match the BBRA. Can't be higher. Be lower. But whatever percent you're used to working with, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, whatever value you bring to the buyer, that's what you need to put on page 2 of the RPA.
It has to actually match your buyer broker's
Yes.
amount.
Or be lower.
Or below.
Or lower.
Okay.
Or lower.
Yes. Or you can also put a flat number on there if you want as well.
Easy peasy? We're all good? Wow. Okay. Now, I don't know if everyone has a listing agreement.
Hang on a second. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I guess, how has it been discussed where, like, say we have a conventional loan, and loan guidelines say the buyer can have 1% credit towards closing cost max. Is this commission going to be applied, like you would apply overage towards HOA or any other thing in the contract if you collect too much in closing costs? Or is this gonna be part of the closing cost and we have to look at guideline limits, say, yeah?
Yeah, I think this is where your lender is gonna be a crucial part of the deal. So, you know, if you meet that buyer, and they're dealing with, no offense to, Navy Federal, if you get my drift, or USAA, you wanna push them to your local guy or gal, I would think. Because they're gonna be the ones that work best with you if you need seller credit, or lender credit, or whatever credit. Where the online guys might say, no, this is it, sorry, this is all we got, okay?
I will say, my thought on you guys, just this is, I think if we called it closing costs, I think that might be the hitch. I think we called it, like you just said, seller credit or buyer credit. I think that might be a different connotation, but I think if you say closing costs, it's gotta be used for closing costs, doesn't it?
Why are we even marketing closing costs? We're just putting it in.
No, this, I'm saying,
Oh, for the
no, we're
lender?
talking about the lender side, because sometimes
I read
the
the
buyer
lender.
might be able to pay you out of the seller's credit. This is what they're talking about.
Oh, okay.
So that's the whole idea of it, is that's their thought. So that's my thought, again, I think if we didn't call it closing costs, we called it credit, I think it might be different.
I wonder, yeah, then you can allocate those funds.
Right, yes, yeah, that's right.
It falls within the guidelines, because this has nothing to do with closing costs.
That's right. That's right, the buyer could say, it's 12 grand, I'll take 6 for my closing, whatever, and you take 6 for your fee, and we're good. Is kind of my thought, but I'm not a lender either, so I don't know, I think it's.
Why not? Wait a second.
Pardon?
Why we cannot be specific and say, okay, suppose it's FHA, 6%, an example, or whatever you want to say, suppose they give like 3%, okay, 2% or 1% will be towards closing costs, and 2% will be towards sellers.
That's gonna be a lender
That's
thing,
calling it all one.
Yeah.
That's the problem, because like, then we have to look, and FHA would be our easiest situation, because FHA allows up to 6. So even after 3, and after 3 in closing costs, we're gonna be okay. But we're talking conventional numbers.
They cannot collect closing costs.
Right, and Tim, didn't somebody say something about recurring and non-recurring?
Dave did.
Is that, who did?
Dave.
Dave said something about it, okay. So I think that, again, if, my thoughts, again, I'm not a lender, that I think if you called it credit versus closing costs, I think you could, I don't wanna use the word get away with it, but I think it'd be more acceptable. Is what my thoughts are, I don't know. Again, you guys, this is a moving target, we don't know all the ins and outs of it yet. Please do it.
So then on this number 2, isn't this a number that you would use, assuming you call the listing agent or
You could, or you could just negotiate it right there. You don't necessarily have to call them. It's gonna be predicated on listing agent answering their phone. Right? If they don't answer the phone, you're gonna have to send the offer over. There you go. And like I said, you guys, our obligation as listing agents is gonna be, Mr. Seller, you don't have to pay a co-op, yet we're gonna negotiate when an RPA comes in.
Right.
So I think that's gonna be the difference. So, yeah, I mean, you could try to call them for sure, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to negotiate it in writing. Well, we'll give you 3%, and then you negotiate it, well, now we're only gonna give you 2% in writing. So that's why you gotta be really careful, I think. Please.
So, quick question, just to clarify, so this whole lawsuit, right?
Yes.
Is basically taking anything off of the listing agreement that we're actually gonna give a co-op, but the seller is allowed to offer.
That's right, through the
But we
RPA.
just cannot actually say, hey, we're gonna give you this.
That's right.
In the RPA, we're
That is
allowed-
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you are correct. And that's where, so when you're talking to your seller, Mr. Seller, we're gonna take a new listing today, and you're gonna pay me 3%. And the other side, the co-op on the other side, we don't worry about that right now, because we're gonna negotiate that. at the time of an RPA. And like I think I was talking to somebody earlier, again, let's say it was a $300,000 property, and your offer was $290. Well, I was gonna offer 2%, but because your offer's low, now I'm only gonna give you 1% in writing through a counteroffer. Could that happen? Absolutely, right? So that's what I'm saying to you guys, and that's why all commissions are gonna be negotiated on the RPA through counteroffers or whatever that looks like. Okay, Gary?
Okay, I'm taking a list in, say, tomorrow.
Yes.
Or Friday.
Yes, I'm an informed.
This goes into effect. Okay, I take a list, I got the buyer also. Do I just get paid from the seller, and just, do I have to do this with the buyer?
Yeah, well, if you're gonna represent the buyer, yes, absolutely. If the buyer's unrepresented and he's gonna put an offer unrepresented, first of all, where's he gonna get the form? So absolutely, you're gonna do a duties owed, BBA, consent act, or B.B.R.A, consent act, and then now an offer. Especially because you're gonna wanna get paid by the buy side or from the sell side, either one, right?
The seller's gonna pay.
Yeah, seller's gonna pay you, but you gotta put it in there because you can negotiate that on the RPA. Mr. Seller's gonna give me 2% to represent this buyer. Okay?
So the listing contract is only going to address my commission as a listing?
Correct. Yeah, that's correct. That is correct. The listing is gonna be only yours, not the other side. But guys, be careful. And try to be as careful as possible. Mr. Seller, by no way in hell do you have to pay a buyer's agent anything. No. Mr. Seller, you can still offer the buyer's co-op. It's just gonna be negotiated at the end, it's gonna be negotiated through whatever RPAs come over. Right, guys, so we get 4 RPAs. One's 2%, one's 1%, one's 0.5%, one's a handshake. What are we gonna do? Right? I'm saving 5,000, I'm saving 8,000, I'm saving 12,000, I'm shaking the guy's hand. What do you think they're gonna do?
Depends what the
That's
offer
what I'm saying.
price is.
So, that's what I'm saying, guys, it's gonna be negotiated. So, so please don't walk in and say, we don't have to pay the buyer side. Say it's gonna be negotiated at the time of an RPA. Because we don't want that connotation where they're going, because you guys are already gonna have it. The seller's already gonna have that deal. We don't have to pay him shit. That's cool, I love it, it's great. Only when the RPA comes over, right? Because we still want a ready, willing, and able buyer that can perform. That's the biggest thing. Okay, Mario, real quick.
Do we have to have, the broker's signature before we fill out the RPA?
Before you fill, we don't sign the RPA. You mean the B.B.R.A?
That's what I'm talking about.
The B.B.R.A, you can, it's as soon as practicable. I would try to get it signed, because if it's Saturday afternoon, you're obviously not gonna get it signed, okay, unless you DocuSign it to one of us. Yes, but it doesn't have to be signed that exact minute. I would certainly try to do it as soon as practical. Okay, don't wait a year, please.
As we discussed on a veteran loan, a veteran cannot pay commissions.
Right, that's gonna, they're talking about changing all that.
Yeah, but it's not changed, so.
Not yet, that's
all
exactly
further
right.
states
That's exactly
that
right.
The buyer.
That's exactly right. But I've heard that veterans can now pay right, me and you talked about that. They can pay a transaction fee.
It's weird language.
Yes.
Even worse.
Right. All right, please.
Two things, so we're kind of in limbo with the VA thing, because the forms come out August 1st, but I believe per the lenders, the VA buyers can't pay anything until August 10th. So now you're using, I don't know, guys, but that's not what I was just, for that question. But I need you guys all to read this number 2, the last sentence there. Upon execution of this residential purchase agreement or subsequent counteroffer, this clause is no longer negotiable exclusively between the buyer and the seller. So when I read that first, I was like, great, we make an offer, they accept it, we're good. It's negotiable through the whole process, guys. So at the end, if the appraisal comes in low, guess what? The first thing they're gonna take out is our commission, you better bet. So that is why you really have to vet your buyers and make them understand that they might be all the way to the end. Then they'll find out that they have to pay a commission. They have every right to negotiate the whole way through. I was not happy about that. When I saw that, I was like, wait a minute.
They sent an email.
Was that?
They can send an email on the tape.
I'm gonna go to my
No, once you go under
You guys
contract.
with that order?
But that's the thing is you need to understand is that they'll tell you, I only have 1 banana. And you're like, okay, well, I got 2.5 bananas from this one or whatever it is that you wrote in here, right? Okay, and then all of a sudden the appraisal comes in low, and then they'll say, we'll drop the price, so now you're like, okay, they'll drop the price, but now what about my bananas?
But you guys, let's be honest, the commission has always been negotiable anyways. How many of us have given up a commission at the very end to get the deal done? So it's not like it's something wacky.
But what my whole thing was, is make sure you understand and you vet your buyers. So if you go into it and they're like, I don't have anything, and they've agreed, just know it is negotiable all the way through. So you still have to work for your buyers. But if that changes, it can change at any point. It's not just like, hey, we negotiated, we're done, we're good. It's not. So just please understand that.
Thank you for being the bearer of bad news.
I'm sorry. It's just, it was important to me when I read it, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I thought it was a done deal, but it's not.
So don't get too afraid of it. It's been there anyway. Tim, finish this up.
All right, gang, so page 2 of the listing agreement, paragraph number 5. I don't know if you guys have it.
You should.
Maybe you do, maybe you don't.
Should be on the second, flip it over your page.
Yeah, page 2 of the exclusive,
It's only one-sided. We don't have it.
this is the listing agreement.
This is just one-sided.
Let's go to page 2. I don't know what Mackenzie printed out.
No,
Mackenzie didn't print it out?
that's a BBRA. No? Are you at the listing?
Does anybody have this? No. Okay. And it's not on here anywhere, big fella?
Let me try to find it.
Okay, just as to remember stuff, the changes are to both agreements are on page 2, just so you know. RPA is on page 2, listing agreement is on page 2. So what this says is compensation to the broker, in capital letters, compensation/commissions are not set by law or by any realtor association, they are fully negotiable. That's the first line of paragraph 5. If during the listing term, seller sells the property and the sale closes or the sale fails to close due to seller's breach of the terms of the RPA, seller shall pay the following. Seller agrees to pay a commission of blank % or the $ flat amount of the final sales price or lease amount to the listing broker upon successful closing of the subject property. The commission is exclusively for the listing broker's services.
Where's that at, Tim?
The commission on line 17, the commission is exclusively for the, did you find it? Look at you.
Page 2.
Is that the listing rate?
That is page 2.
No, it's different.
It says 2000.
That's the old one.
That's the old one.
Right there, 624. Revised.
Jeff, well, I was gonna say, it should look like that.
Okay.
Go back to the top.
That's it, right there.
That's the original.
Number 3 properties, go down.
Yeah.
Line 46, the sale. Okay, let's go to page 2. Page 2. No, it's the right date.
That's the right date.
But it goes from, we're missing a page. It goes
I was just gonna say.
Go down, what page are we on?
Page 3, yes, we're missing page 2. Okay, keep going on, Paul.
Yeah, it's double-sided. That's probably why. So the commission is exclusively for the listing broker upon successful closing of the property. I'll read it again. This commission is exclusively for the listing broker services and not subject to, this is the fun part, not subject to sharing, splitting, or otherwise distributing to any buyer's broker or agent.
Same one I was on.
So I sit down with you as my seller, I tell you how great I am, and I put what I wanna make on that line. I don't give a crap about the buyer's agent. Of course I do, but that's the idea. Where was I? The seller acknowledges that any commission arrangement with the buyer's broker or contractor must be covered by a separate RPA and not covered under the listing agreement. Yeah, yabba dabba do, right? Yeah, this is specifically for you, the listing agent, not for the buyer.
So Tim?
Yes.
To clarify on this one line, because Donna was bringing it up, you've got seller sells the property and the sales closes, or the sale fails to close due to the seller's breach, they're responsible. But then right in the next paragraph, it says you're due upon successful closing of the subject property.
I'm not looking at
It
it.
contradicts, the first one's talking about.
Which line are you on?
Here,
If the
Oh,
seller.
show me the line.
If the
Just read
seller
that line.
breaches,
here it says if it closes or the sale fails to close due to seller's breach, versus here it's upon successful closing. So it's like they contradict.
Well, if the seller bails out the day of closing, and they you tell them that they really can't because of specific performance and the buyer can come after them,
Right.
you can go after them for their commission,
But
for your
then the
commission.
next line sort of contradicts that.
Yeah, cause it says upon
What line?
successful
The
close
line
of
16,
escrow.
17?
17.
Listing
you
of road
can't
upon
have-
successful closing of the property.
You can't have a successful close if the seller breached.
So I understand it's trying to cover the.
I think it's saying
above
we
it.
get paid either way, or we could potentially get paid either way. I think that's what that means.
Well, that's my
Okay.
understanding, but
Yeah.
then, based on what this other one says,
Line 17.
it contradicts it, because it says it has to be successful
appears to.
close, or appears to contradict it.
Again, I'm not a lawyer. Anyone in here a lawyer? I take it as this covers us that we get paid either way, or potentially either way. That's how I would look at it. I
Well,
mean,
if a seller, doesn't perform in a sale, can you sue him for your commission?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But this,
Do we?
somebody's gonna get hung up on that.
We don't get
or
involved with that kind of
Guarantee you,
nonsense.
somebody's gonna get hung up on that.
Okay, you could be right. So what's some scenarios? You're in there with the seller. Well, how many sellers are gonna, do you think, pay a co-op, if you had to guess?
Most of them.
They wanna sell.
Correct.
I'm gonna tell
I
them, you're
think
not
so.
gonna pay it.
You just have to have a really good presentation on explaining this to the seller. Because they're hearing on the news, they're gonna pay it. And they're gonna say, I'm not paying it. Yeah, why should I? The DOJ said I don't have to, the buyer's gonna pay it themselves, like Jeff said. And to be honest, I know some listing agents that will, when they go on a listing appointment, and let's say they're a little bit of a discount agent, you know what, Nancy? I work for 2%. 2% goes here. Don't worry about the buyer's commission, because when we get the offer, the BBRA says what the buyer's paying the buyer's agent. So we don't have to pay them anything. And that's a very attractive thing to a seller to sign my listing agreement. Right? Okay? Will agents do that? I bet you some will. So 6 months down the road, if you see, Ricky at Remax has 48 listings, he's circumventing the system a little bit, but legally, okay? But let's see if they sell, too, if you know what I'm getting at, okay? But you have to explain to your seller that you don't have to pay it, Nance, if you don't want to. But let me give you the reasons why you should, and you go into that reasons why, okay? I think what I would say a lot of times, I'd say, look, you've bought and sold houses before, right, Nancy? Okay? When you were a buyer, how much did you pay your buyer's agent? Do you remember? How much did you pay Jeff when he helped you buy the house?
3%.
You paid Jeff the buyer 3%?
All of it.
No, honestly, make believe you're a buyer. I mean, you're a seller now. And you're a buyer. And you bought houses before. And I say, Nat, you bought houses before, right? Yeah, I used Ricky at Remax. How much did you pay Ricky as the buyer's agent when you bought that house?
As buyer agents, 3%?
None. Zero. None.
You've never paid a buyer
No.
agent.
Wait, a buyer agent? I'm the listing,
No, stay with me.
You're the buyer.
You're the buyer.
Oh, I see, I'm the buyer, I apologize,
Right.
I misunderstood you.
So one of my things I would do is I'd practice
Yeah.
talking to the buyer first about
yes,
how it
yes,
used
yes,
to be,
yes,
the
yes,
good
I'm
old
sorry.
days.
I was
And the same thing with seller. Hey, Brad,
Yeah,
you sold
zero.
houses before, right? Right? When you sold that house, how did the brokers get paid? Do you remember?
We all paid.
Who paid the brokers? The sellers paid, right? Okay.
Right.
Did you think that was a pretty cool system?
We screwed the last guy on the
It was a great system, right? For 100 years, it worked like perfect. But it's not the way it is anymore, Brad. So just so you know, you don't have to pay the broker commission anymore if you don't want to, okay? But I strongly recommend for these reasons
That's
that you
Jeff,
do.
not the broker.
But I strongly recommend for these reasons that you do. But Brad might say, no, Tim, I saw this thing on the news. I love Fox News and whatever, they said I don't have to pay. Okay, well, let's see what happens. But Brad, what's gonna happen is every offer we get, that buyer's probably gonna ask you to pay some of the buyer's commission, just to make you aware of that.
That's our estimated next
Yep.
transaction points, I think. So it'd be great if those payments will show them what they can expect.
Well, I think you should do a net sheet for him as well, this is what it could cost. Yeah.
So here's a question for you. Let's say I go on the listing appointment, right? And I see.
Almost done, you guys.
I pick on Heather, Heather's a seller, right? And Heather says, no, Tim, I'm cool with this. I've sold 3 or 4 houses. I know the value of offering a co-op. Okay, I'll pay you your 3%. I said, okay, and how much do you want to offer the co-op? Give me a number.
Depends what the offer is.
Okay, but so if they want 5%, would you say 5%? Probably 3. Okay, so now I know that, right? So I know that I could tell potentially a buyer's agent that there's 3%.
We can.
So easy, take a breath. Okay. So what do you think as the listing agent in this additional terms at the bottom, should we be able to put in there, buyer will consider paying 3% buyer co-op?
Can't.
What do you think?
Can't.
Would that be a good idea?
Can't.
I know, but would you do that if we could?
I've done that.
Sure. Right, okay. That's something that might be changed, they're talking about, okay? Because what's gonna happen, I think, is buyer's agent's gonna call me, and I know my buyer will pay 3%. So do I tell every buyer's agent that it's 3%?
Nope.
Do I tell them 1%? What do I tell them?
Put in the offer.
I'm supposed to be honest and fair with my fellow realtors, right? I'm supposed to be fair. What do I tell you when you call?
I would say he's willing to pay with an offer. He's willing to pay some
Okay,
commission.
so I shouldn't disclose the 3%.
The amount he should, he
Depends
can.
on what your seller wants.
No, the amount.
Oh, my sellers will pay the flat.
So Tom used to disclose it.
They should have that
Huh?
listed.
I would say.
Whether they want to disclose.
So we used to have to disclose the MLS buyer's co-op is this, why can't we just, Daniela calls me up, but actually, Danielle, my seller's gonna pay you too. I can't do that? You can't.
Oh, you can.
verbalize it.
Just don't record it.
No, you can. I can tell Danielle the thing, right? She sends over the offer, and it's a shitty offer. And we negotiate, and the commission gets cut. And Danielle makes a complaint. Well, Tim told me 2. I got the date here when he told me it was 2. Or 3, or whatever I told him, and then it turned out to be different. So that's where, to your point, I think the answer is, do me a favor, just make the best offer you can, and I'll present it to my seller. I'll do everything I can to get your offer accepted. So, again, these are all uncharted waters here, Dan. So, we're just trying to keep you out of trouble, that's all. We don't want our phone ringing from other brokerages that say you told them X, and then it turned out to be Y. You know?
We're gonna miss you. I didn't know what they were doing.
Alright? Somebody had their hands up in the back.
Come on, people. All right,
Yeah.
finish it up.
That's right.
Last question here. When we had a listing agreement for years, the seller agreed to pay the broker a commission, 5%, 3%, 6%, whatever we read up in that listing agreement. The NRA, I think, dropped the ball when they said the seller's paying the buyer's agent, when actually the broker was sharing his part of the commission that was agreed on the listing. So here we are now saying, oh, we can't say that verbally, but we can say we're gonna take a listing for 3%. What if I take my listing for 5%? That's what I've done all my life, or 6, 5.5. Okay, I can list the listing agreement at 6% or 5%, and my seller will know that the broker gets this commission, and if he wants to give some of that to the buyer's agent, that's a different story. But I think that the NRA dropped the ball, because they said the seller's paying the commission, the broker actually was sharing his commission, the contract with the broker.
But you remember the same form, it would say, I'm taking 6% listed, I'm giving a co-op of 2 or whatever it
A
was.
broker,
Remember?
but not a listing agent.
That's right.
A
That's
broker.
right, broker co-op,
So
yeah.
they just NRA didn't do us a good job in that, in my opinion, okay?
Well, the thing is, that same form is the one that seller said, I didn't realize I was paying the buyer. Wow. That's how we got into this mess.
I think in the perfect world, gang,
That's right.
and I don't think this will
That's right.
happen, but this is what the DOJ wants. They want the seller to pay us, and they want the buyer's agents to pay the buyer's agent.
Yeah.
Keep them totally separate. You've heard the crazy word decoupling? You know, I don't know what it means, but that's what they want. That's what they really want. Will it happen? I don't think so.
You have to, this has to become a law, because buyers do not know about this. If this becomes a law, you have to, it says in the latest magazine I just got here, that you cannot go look at any MLS listings without a buyer's broker agreement. That's your latest thing. So if a buyer wants to go look at property that are MLS, they have to sign a buyer broker agreement, like it or not.
That's right.
Correct. Everyone knows that, right?
Yep, how's it gonna be enforced?
I don't know how they're gonna enforce it. The buyer says, I saw this on Zillow, I wanna look at the house, I can't show it to you.
That's right, unless you sign it, yeah.
But again, if there's any goodness to it, if they don't sign it with you, they gotta sign it with somebody else. So that's the attitude that the DOJ takes. Say, look, Diana, I know, I don't agree with this either. I've been doing this for 16 years, I think this is all crap. We all like the old way, but we gotta work with this for now, okay? So if you don't wanna work with me, that's okay, go meet Jeff. You won't like him either, okay? If you don't like him, you're not gonna get him, okay? But that's the idea, to try to get him to sign it. And then you can make it sign it for 2 days. It's just a 48-hour thing. Go show our house for 2 days.
All right, you guys, so as soon as we know more, we'll send it out. You guys know, thank you all for coming. Appreciate you taking time out of your day.
This is the Green Valley stuff,
Good luck.
right? I think it's Green Valley. That's that was today. They did this today. So I think this is what they give out. Where we put it all in ours, small. I thought we were tricking a lot of people. Hey, you too, big fella. See you soon. Call me if you need anything. Promotion? Yeah, I know. You guys both figured it out? Oh, yeah. Okay, making sure. No, that's what I'm saying. These are mine. They have to tell you. You too.
Hey, how are you? Good. So talked to David yesterday, and then I wanted to wait to see if we got any progression today on whatever. So David was saying that there may be this status change for listing agreements and whatnot. Last week we were saying you have to do yesterday. David was saying thinking about.
So we were in our manager's meeting, it was on a Zoom, and David came into my office, and we're like sitting there, and he and I are going, you know, which way should, he's like, well, we're getting a change order. I'm like, yeah, but is a change order sufficient for what we need? I'm like, yeah, I think it should just be a verbiage and additional terms.
That's the question
Have you
I've
taken
got.
any of the classes down at LBR?
No, didn't make it. I was going to, but then I had something.
Because all they do is, it's like, every question, everybody ask, well, that's a girl, ask your specific, like, and like Roy was saying, everything was, because they don't want it. They're like, here's our boilerplate, everybody go talk to your broker, what they want you to put in additional terms. So really, that's what we're working on. It's, we've got Damon and Tim both on like hacks, and so they're trying to rework these documents. I do believe there'll be some kind of change order, but when you're gonna do a buyer broker agreement, I don't think you should do a change order. I think you have the original one and maybe just put additional terms of what you're gonna get. But again, we have to see what could transpire. I mean, like they said, the only reason they know all of these forms are gonna change just a little bit, but they needed to get them in transaction desk because it takes 2 weeks to approve them. So they said once they're in transaction desk, we can update and change them almost daily. We just need to get them in there, and that's why they release them so fast. So now, but I was like, okay, so they don't go into effect until August 17th, but yet we have them there August 1st, and then coming July 31st, there's no co-op, but yet you can use the form, and I'm like, no, you can't, because if you use the old forms, it doesn't let you negotiate commission, and then now it's not in the MLS, so it's none of the dates are coinciding. So that's my biggest gripe. So
Yeah. Well, and so that's the question. Now that the co-op's going to be going away, so for our listings, like I've been waiting to talk to our clients until knowing what we're supposed to say.
Yeah.
So are we going to have to do a change order for the listing agreement? Or are
Well,
we going
anything,
to do-
you can do anything right now. All the forms are going to be put in there August 1st, and I suggest once they do that, or actually by 10 o'clock tonight, they said, as of today. But then I suggest August 1st, start using the new forms. That's my suggestion because it's not going to coincide. But like I had another agent call me this morning, and he's like, I'm going to take a buyer out today. And I said, okay, well, just make sure you print out your MLS form, because if you go write an offer and it goes under contract, you open escrow, as long as you have the, you know, today or tomorrow, as long as you have your MLS form, then it will show. Oh, is it still taping? It sure is.